Fox Sports.
April is in the distant past. We'll finish up May this weekend, and the D-backs are looking to head into June after a winning month. 6 series wins in their last 8. An offense heating up with the weather. A.J. Pollock settling into the leadoff spot on this homestand, and Martin Prado's bat has come alive. Now, the first of 4 against the Reds on Fox Sports Arizona.
D-backs sailing into open water and into summer, ready to close out a winning month and head into June against the Cincinnati Reds. D-backs fans inside Chase Field to get a look at speed sensation Billy Hamilton as the D-backs look to keep swinging a chance for their 7th series win in their last 9. It's Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly along the way. Glad you're with us here on Fox Sports Arizona for the first of 4 D-backs and the Cincinnati Reds here at Chase Field. And Bob, this is where the Diamondbacks offense, as of late, has come to life.
Yeah, you look at the last 5 ball games. Now, granted, it's bookended by 18 on one end and 12 last night on the other end, but there have been some really good signs over the last 5 home games. 9 runs a game, 11 homers, a .353 team batting average, starting to get those big hits when they need them the most. 2 outs and runners in scoring position. It's really all come together, and you can just feel the confidence in that offense trickling all the way down through the lineup.
Defensively for the D-backs tonight, it will be a bit of a chess game. You've got Tuffy Gozowicz getting the start behind the plate at catcher in for Miguel Montero, and Tuffy may have his hands full tonight. We're getting a look at the speed sensation in Cincinnati. It's Billy Hamilton.
Yeah, we heard Tom Brenneman talk about Billy Hamilton's minor league season a couple years ago. 155 stolen bases. The big thing is keep Billy Hamilton off the bases. If you retire him, he doesn't have a chance to steal bases, but once he gets on, one of the most electrifying base runners in the game right now.
Should be a fun ball game tonight and a great series. The D-backs and the Reds as the roof and panels are opening up behind us here. And there is Billy Hamilton set to go on Fox Sports Arizona. First of 4 against the Reds. When we come back, Martin Prado. The bat has come alive. Jody Jackson has more on that. When we come back, you're watching Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona.
you in part by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Jack in the Box. If the D-backs hit a home run today, score a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow with the purchase of a large drink.
And welcome back, Chase Field, on this Thursday night. The Diamondbacks set for a four-game series, against the Cincinnati Reds tonight. Jody Jackson with you. Now, after a 17-hit, 12-run performance, the D-backs look to keep that offense going. And a big part of the offense lately has been Martin Prado. Now, last year around this time, his mom came to visit from Venezuela, and he really credited her with part of his turnaround. And we saw what Martin could do the last half of the season last year. Well, Martin's mom isn't in town yet. That's going to be in about a week, but they have been talking over the phone as he tells me she's trying to, quote, fix his swing. Well, you look at his last 8 games. We're talking about the series against the Cardinals, the Mets, and then home against the Padres. He has been on fire, and in particular on this homestand so far, the 3-game set against San Diego, 5 for 12 with a double and 2 home runs. So that's a look at the double and then home runs in back-to-back nights, after going about 200 plate appearances between home runs. So for Martin, the key has been being more aggressive, and it certainly seems to be working. Now, he's never hit 3 home runs in a row, consecutive games, but guess what Mom says? She told him she thinks he's going to hit one out tonight. So we'll see. Stay tuned. The game coming up next. First pitch. And for the D-backs, it's Josh Colementer on the mound. Hey, he's won his last 2 starts. He's also looking to make it 3 in a row. It'll be the Tomahawk against the Cincinnati Reds lineup coming your way next.
Feel like a tomahawk into a tree in Homer, Michigan. It's Josh Colementer on the mound for the D-backs. The roof and panels open. We are set for baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly back with you. The Diamondbacks and the Cincinnati Reds. D-backs have made it 6 series wins in their last 8 and playing winning baseball this month. 2 games over 500 with 3 left to play in May. The Reds without Joey Votto. He's on a 15-day DL with a left quadricep strain, so the Diamondbacks, in a sense, are getting a break there. No Votto, Bob, in the Reds lineup for this series.
Always a break when you miss Joey Votto. It'll be Billy Hamilton at the top of the order. Todd Frazier batting second. Brandon Phillips in the 3-hole. Jay Bruce batting cleanup. Devin Mesoraco having some good offensive numbers in the early going. He'll be doing the catching. Ryan Ludwig in left field. Brian Pena in the middle of a 6-game hitting streak playing first base. Zach Cozart at shortstop, and Tony Cingrani, the left-hander, on the mound.
And Billy Hamilton in the left-hand batter's box, and Martin Prado at third, Paul Goldschmidt at first, well in on the corners. And Bob, this is going to be a theme in this series. How do the D-backs defend the fastest man in the game?
Well, certainly this is a good start. I mean, even the middle infielders have to be aware and cheat in an extra step or two closer to home plate than they normally would, because Hamilton can beat out routine grounders if you're playing at a normal depth.
You see that 287 on base percentage from the leadoff spot. Will he get on base often enough to utilize one of the game's biggest weapons? And this, they say, is the fastest man baseball has seen in decades, probably since Vince Coleman, a player to whom he is often compared. 2-2 now. He has been clocked, Hamilton, at least this spring, 3.3 seconds from the batter's box to first base. Tough he goes. A wish hangs on. Good start for Coleman to keep that speed off the bases. One away.
Well, that old cliche is as true today as it ever was. You can't steal first.
Number 21.
Good high fastball from Josh Coleman. Figures to be a good weapon against Billy Hamilton, a guy that you would much prefer to see him hit the ball in the air than on the ground.
One away. Todd Frazier steps in now. His power has increased this year. He's been their most consistent hitter all season. A little more pop and a much higher slugging percentage. 269 and 9 homers. Frazier's hit in 7 of his last 9 games. Strike one from Josh Coleman. This is upstairs, a ball and 2 strikes. Frazier last 3 games, 3 doubles. And his defense has been excellent this year as well. Drops it in there. Ring him up and sit him down. 2 strikeouts to start off the ball game. And Frazier looking back at Mark Ripperger. Our Arizona Ford starting pitcher Josh Coleman coming off back-to-back victories. He beat the Dodgers here at Chase Field 2 starts ago. Then last Saturday beat the Mets in New York. He is unbeaten in his last 6 starts. 5 of those, Bob, have been D-backs wins.
And more important than the numbers, the fact that Josh Coleman, after a 29-pitch first inning against the Mets with a doubleheader looming the next day, managed to right the ship, get his legs underneath him, and pitch 6 strong innings in that ball game, getting the victory.
Brandon Phillips. Bob, he's up there with a pretty good sized bat, and he has that waggly, it's almost like a buggy whip thing he does up there.
And players, as they get deeper into their career, not saying that Brandon Phillips is quite at that point yet, but you have to make some adjustments. You can't always do the things you did as a young player when you were strong.
Waggles the bat and lifts it in the air to right center, but playable for A.J. Pollock. And a nice 1-2-3 start for Josh Coleman. We are underway. Reds and D-backs at Chase Field. behind him, and Bob, A.J. Pollock is settling in there at the top of the D-backs order.
He sure looks comfortable in that #1 spot. I mean, there are some guys that haven't responded well when inserted into the leadoff spot. A.J. not one of those guys. He loves leading off. Chris Owings batting second after a 4-hit night last night. Paul Goldschmidt with a tape measure homer to straightaway center, batting third. Martin Prado at third base, batting fourth. Followed by Aaron Hill, Cody Ross, Gerardo Parra, Tuffy Goswish, and Josh Coleman are on the mound for the D-backs.
And for the Reds, your Arizona Ford starting pitcher, Tony Cingrani, 6'4" left-hander. This is a guy who throws a lot of fastballs.
A lot of fastballs. They say that Devin Mesoraco trying to get him to throw a few more off-speed pitches, but his strength has always been his ability to throw that fastball for strikes, and he loves to use it.
It's a four-seamer. He does not have a sinking two-seam fastball, and he'll throw that four-seamer more than 70% of the time. So you're going to see a fastball if you're up there, D-backs hitters.
More changeups to righties, more sliders to lefties, but a lot of fastballs to everybody.
1-1 on AJ, back above the 300 mark for the year at 301. And most importantly in this spot, the OBP, the on-base percentage, 352. And if he stays there, it's going to be hard to get him out of this spot. Cingrani misses away. It's 2 balls and a strike.
Now, lineup construction is not as much of a slam dunk as it used to be. You always had a fast little guy as a leadoff hitter, and followed by a good bat handler that could hit behind the runner, and then your RBI guys in the middle of the lineup. But not as much running in the game nowadays. Billy Hamilton excluded, but it's not unusual to see a leadoff hitter that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, drive it into the gaps.
That's why Hamilton is almost considered something of a throwback back to, Ricky Henderson and Vince Coleman and Tim Raines, those types of, 80, 90 steals a year type guys. Right to the Gubner. 2-2. Reds, of course, in their first season under new skipper Brian Price, former D-back.
They've really struggled to score runs this year, and with that in mind, Brian Price has really pushed the pedal to the floor. They're a very aggressive base running team. They take some chances at times, but he's doing what he has to do to try to get that offense going.
AJ left center, that gets down, and Pollock is on the run. It bounces off the wall. Hamilton picks it up, and AJ Pollock is in at second with his 13th double.
Phantom Cam double into that gap in left center field. A little bit of a release of the top hand there at contact that stayed down and through the ball. You notice Ryan Ludwig, the veteran left fielder, just doesn't run as well as he once did. He pretty much conceded that was Billy Hamilton's ball off the bat. Just ran over there to shout some encouragement to the center fielder.
Chris Owings steps in. 276 and 3 homers. A good start for the D-backs, of course, after their 8-run first here last night against the San Diego Padres, the highest scoring first inning in D-backs history. And Owings was part of that, a 4-hit game last night, the first of his career. Pollock takes off for third. It gets by Frazier, and AJ is coming home. 1-0. Throw from Devin Mesoraco, the catcher, to third base, is now in the seats, and it's 1-0 Diamondbacks.
Really, when we talk about a leadoff hitter that puts pressure on the defense and makes things happen with his legs, we were talking about Billy Hamilton, but it turns out to be A.J. Pollock making things happen here in the first inning, legging out the double. Got a great jump on that steal attempt, and Mesoraco rushes his throw, spikes it in the dirt to Frazier, and the D-backs are on the board.
Stolen base at third for A.J. Pollock. He scores on E2. Error on the catcher, and it's 1-0. Less than 2 batters into the ball game.
A great anticipation by A.J. Cingrani can be very deliberate to home plate, especially with the runner out there at second base, and A.J. recognized that and took advantage.
How hard is it for a left-hand pitcher when there's a base-stealing threat on second base? He's behind you.
You have to turn your head a little bit farther to get a good look at that base runner, but it's pretty much the same for righties and lefties. You just have to make the base runner stop, and you could clearly see AJ just kept edging off, and Cingrani did not make him come to a complete stop. Went right into his break for third base.
And Chris Owings having another one of those Chris Owings at bats. Yes, he went. Gary Cederstrom, the crew chief, is the first base umpire. So Owings strikes out, and that's the first out in the ball game for the Diamondbacks. Here's a look.
Check on that slider in the dirt. I mentioned he usually uses that pitcher to left-handed hitters. Will show it to the righties on occasion, but that time bounced it up there to get the swinging strike.
Paul Goldschmidt, and he was the talk of the town today after a 470-foot homer off the DBTV Jumbotron out there. And it was one of those home runs where you want to say, I was there that night. I saw that. And it was something to see.
Came in the midst of a conversation we were having about maybe Paul Goldschmidt needed a day off.
Shows you what we know. This was Goldie last night.
Man, a titanic blast.
470 off the video board in center. A lot of people today were disappointed it was only 470. No, that had to be 520, 550.
Well, Major League Baseball had a crew of engineers out here with slide rules and geometry teachers, and they figured out, I think 470 might be a little low myself, but doesn't take anything away from the effect it had on that ball game.
And this should be another good matchup for Goldie tonight. Cingrani, we think it hit the 4 on the innings there on the line score, right under the 44. We took a look at it as closely as we could. But he essentially hit his own picture up there. Not something you will see often. 3 hits last night. The home run was his 10th of the year. And with Goldie right there hitting almost 380 against lefties this year, this should be a good matchup. A lot of fastballs, left-hand starter. See if he can get a hold of another one. 3-2. And how'd you like to be a left-hand pitcher facing this guy after watching that video clip from last night? What do you think?
Oh, my.
What do you want to throw here?
Let's pitch around him.
Yep.
Oh, right down the middle.
2 strikeouts for Cingrani. That's the second out in the first.
The reason we were even having the conversation about whether Goldie could possibly need a day off was a pitch like that. He rarely misses middle of the plate fastballs in any count. But that's one of a number of them he swung through recently. But the upside is when he does make contact, it goes a long way.
Speaking of home runs, Martin Prado looks at strike one, as he often does. 2 more hits last night, including his second home run in 2 games, his first 2 homers this year. And you saw the batting average at 267. That's the highest it's been since April 12th. Shoots this one the other way. Jay Bruce is there. And that's the inning. But the Diamondbacks get one, and through one they lead the Reds 1-0. 1,000 here at Chase Field Saturday, May 31st. Diamondbacks and Reds. You'll get a Mark Trumbo t-shirt courtesy of Fry's Food Stores. For tickets, visit dbacks.com/tickets today. Mark personally designed that t-shirt. And we got good news on Mark's stress fracture in the foot. Progressing well, hopefully 3 weeks. Jay Bruce, first pitch. Strikes to Gerardo Parra. 1 pitch, 1 out in the second for Josh Colminter. Looking forward to seeing some Trumbo jacks. But it's been a while for Mark coming off that stress fracture. But the news has been very good, so they're encouraged.
You know, he's looking forward to that as well. Boy, there's nothing more frustrating than spending time on the disabled list, especially if your team is struggling and you feel like you could make a difference in that offensive lineup. That is a tough route to go for any ball player. I'm sure Mark Trumbo is anxious to get back.
That's something that has bitten the Reds this year. The injury bug is Devin Mesoraco, who steps in. They had so far have had 12 guys go on the DL this year. And 2 big ones, and Joey Votto and Matt Latos are not here for this series. This is in the air to right. Another chance for Parra. Two down. Here's Ryan Ludwig. Ludwig is another guy that's been banged up. He's been dealing with a sore left knee, some swelling and some inflammation in there. And he's been down a bit this month, 246 on the year. But over the last 2 weeks is only hitting about 200, and he's been striking out a lot lately. Strike one. You can smell that beautiful scent that rises up from Wetzel's Pretzels up to our booth with everything open up. That is that's my wife's favorite at the ballpark. Cindy loves the Wetzel's Pretzels.
I noticed you had some Wetzel's Pretzels earlier.
She's got me hooked. She's got me hooked to it with the cinnamon on them.
Oh.
In fact, Dennis Lamb stole my pretzels.
Oh.
Dennis, I wasn't done with those.
Those Wetzel's Pretzels with cinnamon sugar double as breakfast food.
He's eating my pretzels. These pretzels are making me thirsty. 0-2. Yeah, that's the best smell in the ballpark right there. When they start heating up the Wetzel's Pretzels, we come in here about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh boy. Just got to keep them away from Dennis Lamb, that's all. It's the bits. See, that's what I get, the bits. The little ones, and you put some cinnamon on them. Oh, that's the ticket. And then when you're down there, you get that in one hand, and then you get the cactus corn in the other, and it's all she wrote.
Good to go.
Mikey Sharon's down there. And then you wash it down with a $4 beer, the best beer in baseball. $4 right here at Chase Field. 2-2. Ring him up and sit him down one more time. 3 strikeouts for Josh Colminter, who's got a 1-0 lead. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Coming up for the Diamondbacks, we'll see Aaron Hill, Cody Ross, and Gerardo Parra. down with 3 strikeouts, and he's got a 1-0 lead as Aaron Hill steps in to lead off the home half of the second against Reds left-hander Tony Cingrani. Aaron, 249 on the year and 4 homers.
He's due. Aaron took one for the team last night. Diamondbacks were banging the ball all over the field, and unfortunately Aaron took himself an 0 for 5 last night. See?
Boy, you called that one, partner. Aaron Hill is going to stop at first.
Take one for the team 1 day a week. The rest of the time I'm after. Nice going, Aaron Hill.
Well, this is a pitcher that the Diamondbacks should be able to get to, especially the right-hand hitters. Cingrani spent 2 weeks on the DL earlier this month with mild shoulder tendonitis. He has made 2 starts since returning from the disabled list. Losses to the Phillies and the Cardinals. And as you can see there, the numbers have not been quite the same. And his rotation spot, in fact, is hanging by a thread here with Latos due back soon. And here's a guy that kills lefties, Cody Ross. Strike 1. Cody, 4 fly ball outs to right field Tuesday night. He struck out in a pinch hit appearance in last night's ball game. We're all opened up again here. It's great to have everything open up this late into May.
Well, this is unbelievable. Fans should be out here taking advantage of this. As good as it gets for baseball in the Valley this time of year. Very comfortable inside Chase Field. Roof and panel wide open. If you like offense, now's the time to get out here.
Yeah, we're getting lucky with some bonus days this late into the calendar year. As we've seen all this week with the roof and panels open, the ball is flying in here these days. Not good news for this young man. Oh and 1.
We mentioned Cingrani likes that fastball. He has a little deception in his delivery, but the velocity is not overwhelming, in the low 90s. Occasionally will touch the mid 90s when he's at his best with the wind at his back, but very hittable velocity when he's in the strike zone.
D-backs did see Cingrani last year when we were at Great American Ballpark. That was August 20th as he elevates here against Cody Ross. But in that ball game, Cingrani was pulled out in the 4th after giving up a home run to Martin Prado, a walk to Goldie, and a double to Aaron Hill. Had a back issue that flared up during the ball game and could not continue. So they got a brief look at Tony Cingrani last year. And Cingrani, after his last start, lost to the Cardinals Saturday at Cincinnati. They said that because he'd gone 17 days without pitching in a ball game while he was out with that shoulder trouble. He still wasn't fully stretched out yet. And so as a result, his velocity had been a bit down. Change up and slider felt okay, but he's been hit pretty hard since he's come back. That one is by Phillips and into right. First 2 have reached for the D-backs in the second. They've got 3 hits.
Right fielder,
That's a nice piece of hitting by Cody Ross. Pitch out over the plate and down, stayed right on it. Not easy to drive the ball by Brandon Phillips, a perennial Gold Glove candidate at second base, but this time Cody gets enough to get it past the diving Brandon Phillips.
Brandon Phillips, an all-star Gold Glove winner at second base last year. The Gold Glove, the 4th of his career. And as usual, he's all smiles out there. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Gerardo Parra. And another chance for Parra to get that average up against left-hand pitchers.
And we should point out the Reds as a team have made only 23 errors this year. 11 of those have come from the left side of their infield. 7 by Frazier at third and 4 by Cozart at shortstop. Orioles in the American League also with 23 errors, the fewest in the majors this year.
Zach Cozart, the shortstop, who's had a terrific year defensively. And the bat's starting to come around as well. That is down the line and left, but foul. 0-2. In paradise, aren't we all? This is the issue, though, for Gerardo. We talked about this the other night. 266 on the year, but under $150 against left-hand pitching. 7 hits and 48 at-bats versus lefties this year. And that number was under 200 for the year last season. Parra behind, 0-2. And G, like A.J. Pollock, a pair of hits in that big first inning last night. He had a single and a double. And then, perhaps ironically, struck out his next 3 at-bats. Devin Mesoraco behind the plate.
Nice range that time by Mesoraco. We were told that he has really worked hard on his defensive skills behind the plate. Shows good range this time, getting over behind that right-handed batter's box to block this slider. That ball hit about 2 feet out in front of home plate as well. Nice play.
Well, he should be used to the dirt. He's from Puxatawney, Pennsylvania. Because, you know, groundhogs are there in the dirt.
I got you.
2-2. Far up there battling.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations. Diamondbacks have been good in this situation throughout this homestand with runners in scoring position, hitting .375, including 4 doubles, a homer, driven in 15 runs.
Is he trying to go the other way? Or is he just trying to keep the at-bat going?
It looked like that was just an emergency swing to keep the at-bat going, but we've seen Parra kind of, I don't want to call it give in, but concede that the best chance you might have of getting a hit against the tough lefties to go the other way. That pitch was out there on the outside corner, maybe a little farther away, and just got a piece of it to stay alive.
Another 2-2. To Cozart at shorts. Pretty good bat there by Parra, all things considered, and that's the first out here in the second.
Yeah, real good at bat against the lefty. Fouled off a couple of borderline pitches to stay alive, and then hits that soft line drive right at the shortstop. Good base running by Hill and Ross to react quickly back to the bag on that line drive.
2 on, 1 out now, and it's Tuffy time. Tuffy Gozowicz, his 8th start this year. 241 on the year and a homer. And Tuffy has been a hitter as of late. He's got 7 hits in his last 19 at bats, including 4 RBIs. Cingrani in this inning has done a good job throwing strike 1 and getting ahead in counts. Tuffy had a ground out in a pinch hit appearance in last night's big win over the Padres. That snapped a 5-game hit streak.
Let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the game. For the Diamondbacks offense, keep flexing your muscles. Been really good to see some guys taking aggressive swings, getting extra base hits, driving that ball in the gap and out of the ballpark. And hey, I understand the Reds have some guys on the disabled list, but they'll get no sympathy from us.
Wow. Hardline stance.
It happens to every team at some point in the season. Sometimes it's coming out of spring training. Sometimes it bites you around the All-Star break. And everybody has to get through it somehow. It really tests the depth of your organization, the skills of your bench players, the prospects that you have in your minor league system. So nobody's going to feel sorry for the Reds.
Yeah, but 12 guys is a lot.
That's a lot.
That's half your roster.
I still don't feel sorry for
well, you're a hard man, Brunley.
That's right. Take your edge wherever you can get it.
3-1 to Gozawish. Ooh, that's a called strike. Mark Ripperger says, hold on there, Tuffy. Strike 2. All right. Runners going. That's ball 4. Bases are loaded. Jeff Pico, the pitching coach, is out there. So Cingrani now at 40 pitches, 27 for strikes. He's been around the strike zone most of the night and has been ahead in counts, but so far a double, 2 singles, and a walk.
When he's at his best, Cingrani can be described as effectively wild. He's walked 23 guys coming into play tonight in just over 40-some innings, 44 innings. To go along with the strikeouts, 43 strikeouts. So he'll paint the corners from time to time, and then he'll miss by a wide margin. He'll throw a good slider on the outside corner at the knees, and then he'll bounce one out in front of home plate. Just can't get a real comfortable at bat against him.
How do you want to play this with the Colementer in there and 1 out? Fingers crossed.
Swinging away. Yeah. It's something you can drive.
In that bucket.
Yeah, the key to possibly scoring a run here is what kind of jump Tuffy can get off of first base to break up a potential double play. And with the bases loaded and 1 out, a strikeout is not the worst thing that can happen.
You've got the red-hot A.J. Pollock coming up. Swinging away, slow roller. Cozart, Phillips, and they turn it. Big double play ball there. Gets Cingrani out of a mess. And the Diamondbacks can't score. We are through 2. They lead it 1-0.
Check out BBTV.
They play Xbox or if they go out to bars. I know everything about them, and it's very it's going to be strange, because it's going to be this chess match of playing against someone who has a lot of information about you and you of them. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out.
Our Geico quote of the game from tomorrow's starter, Bronson Arroyo, who really prides himself on that chess match. And so, like you said, I know everything about my former teammates. 8 years in Cincinnati. And what was interesting, guys, is right after that first inning, you could see Bronson over there talking to Tuffy Gosewich and probably sharing whatever information he knows about his former teammates to help Josh Colementor tonight.
Thank you, Jody. Well, BB, how much of a disadvantage might that be for Bronson?
You know, I always felt the advantage was for the pitcher because ultimately he's the guy that knows what he's going to throw out there on the mound, whether the other team knows what's coming or not. You know, they know his arsenal certainly, but they also know that he'll change arm angles, he'll put a little extra on, take a little extra off. I mean, Brian Price is well aware of what Bronson Arroyo is capable of doing out there on the mound. I would suggest attack the guys who go out to the bars at night and be real careful with the guys that play Xbox.
Sage advice. Sage advice. Brian Pena leads off the Reds' third against Josh Colementor, who has retired all 6 he's faced. He's got 3 strikeouts. Pena 283 and 3 homers, and this guy is loving life in Cincinnati. Had 3 hits in the Reds' win at Dodger Stadium last night. He's hit in 6 straight.
Is that KRP there? WKRP, Loving Life in Cincinnati? That sounds kind of like the theme song for that show.
With the big guy, Mr. Carlson, and Herb Tarlick, Les Nessman. 5-time winner of the Buckeye News Hawk Award.
Johnny Fever.
Dr. Johnny Fever.
Doctor, excuse me.
Man's got a degree. Down the line and right. That's a fair ball. Pena continues to swing a hot bat. Hara plays it off the wall, and Brian Pena has the Reds' first hit. The leadoff double to open the third.
Shortstop, number 2.
On top of that high fastball, hooking line drive down into that right field corner. Pena runs pretty good for typical looking backup catcher now playing first base.
What are you saying?
Well, you know, he's kind of short and squatty, square bodied, blocking balls behind the plate, squatting up and down, up and down. Those legs take a beating, but Pena still runs pretty good.
5'9", 230. Zach Cozart, the shortstop. Ball 1. And you could not have had a tougher start to the season at the plate than what Zach Cozart went through in April. And he is really hitting the ball well right now. He's got it up to 222 and way up. It took him 6 games this year to get a base hit. He opened up 0 for 22. I mean, look at that. Finished up a $188 for the first month and fell into that classic trap. He said when you start like that, you go up there chasing hits instead of worrying about just having a quality at bat. And then you go after pitches out of the strike zone, you expand, and then everything just escalates and you're just digging a hole. And he didn't have a batting average that started with a 2 until May 6th. And this is a guy that's playing every day. Well, it's only the third inning. Hit out into right center. Easy play for AJ. Pena at second will tag and head for third. And they got him! Not a bad homestand for the Diamondbacks center fielder.
That's one time an outfielder doesn't have to worry about hitting the cutoff man. You've got one runner trying to advance from second to third. Go ahead and air it out all the way in the air to Martin Prado. Nice quick tag on Pena. Deep fly ball to center field turns into a double play at third base. Nicely done.
A look on Phantom Cam. We have Phantom Cam this week from Fox, which apparently survived getting hit by a bat last night. Phantom Cam took a shot. How's that for a shot? What a gorgeous night in downtown Phoenix. Cingrani gets a bunt down. Aaron Hill. So much for the leadoff double. Diamondbacks lead the Reds 1-0. Tweet us your fan photo using the hashtag AZFanPhoto for a chance to have your picture shown in our game broadcast, brought to you by AT&T. Friendly committee which meets in secret will peruse the photos. We can get them to stop eating those Wetzel's pretzels. Boy, what a homestand it's been for this guy, A.J. Pollock. The leadoff man, the center fielder. OPS, which is on-base percentage plus slugging percentage. Offensively, he is among the best center fielders in all of Major League Baseball. Up there with some MVP candidates and some Gold Glovers.
Well, certainly it's felt that way, but it's good to see the statistical backup right there. A.J. Pollock ahead of Charlie Blackmon, just behind Andrew McCutchen.
You like OPS?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think you know, baseball has paid a lot of attention to that in the past. It just didn't have its own category on the stat sheet. You know, Look at the guy's slugging percentage. Look at his on-base percentage. Add them up. Yeah, you know, kind of makes sense. But now we actually have OPS, so it kind of combines the two. But yeah, I think it's a very, very valuable, very telling stat.
It's one of those that's easy to digest, which is why it's great for fans who are just kind of getting into all that stuff. How about this ballpark?
Man,
oh,
just one postcard night after
gorgeous.
Another here at Chase Field.
Another night where kids get in free, courtesy of the Diamondbacks. Hard to short, bounce to Cozart. One away in the third.
Shortstop, Chris Owings.
Chris Owings, a strikeout victim his first time. Heading back home to Chase Field, just the answer for Chris with 4 hits last night. And he has struggled at times this month. And for the season, he's hitting nearly 400 here at Chase Field, but about 170 on the road. And these are home road splits that are virtually in the same number of at-bats, equal sample sizes. That's remarkable. This is a hitter's park after all, we're told, but that's something else.
There's only one player in the big leagues that has a bigger differential between their home and road batting average. That's Troy Tulowitzki, who's hitting over 500 at Coors Field this year, only 250 on the road.
Can you imagine that? Oh. He's hitting 500 in his own ballpark. Holy moly.
Actually 521. I don't want to shorten.
Just round off. 2-2.
Hey fans, when the Diamondbacks win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every D-backs win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
I'm going to put the average number of foul balls per Chris Owings at bat at 3.5. And he's worked it full, and that's part of the process. You foul ball here, foul ball there. It stays alive, that's one thing, but you get yourself back in counts in which you can do some damage. Well hit, right field. It's in the pool. Great example of what has become a trademark Chris Owings at bat. Down in the count, fouls off some pitches, works it back full, and then laces a double the other way.
Another trademark of Chris Owings at bats earlier this season was his willingness and ability to go up the middle and the other way. Allowed him to maintain that batting average. Boy, great shot of a ball backspinning off the bat right there, off the warning track and up into the RamTrucks.com pool.
Watch the chair. Oh, nice save. That would have been the highlight of the night. Here's Goldie. Struck out his first time. Right
Back to Kozar. Tough hop. Wow. He has had a very good year defensively, and that was not an easy play.
Let's take a look on Phantom Cam. Chris Owings driving that ball to right center. Watch the spin on the ball as it comes off the bat. Backspin. It's going to allow that ball to carry a lot farther to that gap in right center field as Chris Owings gets to know more of the pitchers around the National League and pick his spots better. I think we're going to start to see some home runs to the opposite field.
How do you get backspin on the bat?
Yeah, it suits the path of the bat through the hitting zone. Some guys are very flat with their bat through the hitting zone. Some guys have a little downward plane. Other guys have an uppercut. But when you have that downward plane through the hitting zone and make good solid contact, you tend to impart backspin on the ball and causes it to carry much farther.
Martin Prado.
Welcome in.
Look at that sky.
Beautiful.
We are lucky to live here. 1-0 to Prado. Martin Prado homers in 2 straight games. He has never homered in 3 straight. But as Jody Jackson told us during the pregame show, Martin's mom says tonight's the night.
Yeah,
she's called it.
Mother knows best.
Keeping Kozart busy down there at short. Sangrani strands the 1-out double through 3. The Diamondbacks lead the Reds 1-0.
Over the Cincinnati Reds. Todd Frazier due up second here in the inning. Having himself another nice year for the Reds. But last year, August 21st, somebody explain this swing to me. I have never seen that before in a game of baseball. Badly fooled, straightened his knees, leaning away from the plate, and like a cricket swing, just dropped the bat down there and splashed it into play.
I was going to say we saw some of those in Sydney. Todd Frazier will bat to second in the inning against Josh Coleman. Billy Hamilton struck out his first time. They'll keep him off the bases.
We talk about a pitcher getting creative out there on the mound and inventing pitches depending on the situation. I think Todd Frazier can pretty much do the same thing with his swing. He invents swings depending on the pitch. That's great location. Stay right up there. Letter high fastballs to Billy Hamilton. Try to get him to hit the ball in the air to the opposite field or swing and miss as he did back in that first inning.
Goldie back behind the bag at first. Hamilton shoots it foul. Brian Price, the Red skipper, says they go from series to series
and see completely different alignments against Hamilton by the defense with different responsibilities. So it'll be interesting to watch throughout this series what the D-backs decide to do. Of course, every situation is different in every at-bat. But he can hit a little bit too. Lines that one to the right for a single, and now the chess match is on.
Lemonade, lemonade like Grandma made, yummy good, yeah.
You know you want it.
Who's Thursday?
I had the opportunity to see Billy Hamilton play for the Pensacola Blue Wahoos a couple of years ago when my son Michael was playing in that particular league. And Buddy Bailey, the manager of the Tennessee Smokies, played everybody in front of the baseline. Second baseman, shortstop, both corner infielders. Everybody was playing in as if there were a runner at third base late in a tie game, forcing him to swing the bat and try to drive the ball through the infield. Completely took the bunt out of the equation, completely took the little chopper on the infield out of the equation, and they had some great success against Billy Hamilton.
He is very aggressive. Look at that lead. And this is what the Reds want. He can be a sensation out there. Hamilton has gone from first base to third base on a ground ball hit back to the pitcher. He has tagged up from third on a pop out to second. He is uber aggressive. That's the way they want him. He makes things happen. Close, but safe, says Gary Cederstrom.
Well, and you can see the way he takes his lead over there. He just wants to have a little bit of momentum moving towards second base. Never really comes to a complete stop, and that's Josh Colementer's job, is to make him come to a complete stop.
A look on Phantom Cam. Wow, that is close. I mean, Hamilton, 2 seasons ago, split time between High A Bakersfield and Double A Pensacola. Here comes Kirk Gibson to have a look. This is a guy that stole 155 bases in 132 games, breaking the all-time minor league record set by a player to whom he is often compared, Vince Coleman. Goldie and Gibby out there with Gary Cederstrom as they stall for time. The only problem with that angle is you can't see where Hamilton's hand is behind Goldie's foot.
You know, and I've talked many times about this. As a defender, you take the ball to where the runner is going to go. Back to he's out.
He's out.
You know, take the ball right to the base. That's where Billy Hamilton is trying to get back to. But with replay and the challenge system now, I don't know if that's the right way to teach it anymore. I think you tag the closest body part you can get that glove to. Now that means tagging a guy on the shoulder as he's sliding back into first base, tag him on the hip, tag him on the leg, however you can get that tag down as quickly as possible.
Todd Frazier right to Aaron Hill, flip to Owens, and they roll it. Well, so far the Diamondbacks have negated Hamilton's speed with a strikeout and a double play ball.
Aaron Hill perfectly positioned, cheating up the middle of the field, expecting Frazier to either pull the ball or take it back up the middle, and he was right in the right spot. Maybe tipped briefly by Josh Colementer out there on the mound, but a nice turn up the middle. Plenty of time to get Frazier at first.
2 down, bases empty. Dat dude BP. His 9th year as a Red, Brandon Phillips. Phillips a homer off Clayton Kershaw, and the Reds win at Dodger Stadium last night. And the on-base percentage is down a bit this year. But Phillips has had a good month, hitting an even .300 in May. Now at .274 on the year. This was Brandon Phillips against Clayton Kershaw. Just buggy whips that thing.
We started talking about it briefly before his first at bat in this ballgame. A lot of movement. He's got that bat pumping back and forth as he waits for Josh Colementer to release the pitch. A lot of movement with his hands. Ultimately, he comes to a set position, and at some point, in the near future, he'll probably eliminate a lot of that stuff and simplify that approach. We've seen Miguel Montero do it this year. We've seen Gerardo Parra make some adjustments to his swing. And the more unnecessary movement you can eliminate before that ball's released, the better your chances of putting a nice quick swing on it.
2-1 is rolled to third, right to Martin Prado. Bottom 4 at Chase Field. D-backs lead it 1-0. Every strikeout, every game ender, and every history-making moment on MLB Whip Around. Weeknights at 7 Pacific on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. We go to the home half of the fourth on a gorgeous night at Chase Field. We're all open up roof and panels. Diamondbacks lead the Reds 1-0. Aaron Hill, Cody Ross, and Gerardo Parra 5, 6, and 7 against Reds lefty Tony Cingrani. This is a guy that had a very good year last year. Kind of came out of nowhere. Third-round pick by the Reds 3 years ago out of Rice in Houston. 7-4 last year. Had a 2.92 ERA. And he's a part of the future, that's for sure. And his career got off to a very unusual start. Ball 1 to Aaron Hill. It actually stretched through the winter and into this year. Last year as a rookie, Cingrani went the entire season without giving up more than 5 hits in any start. And that streak finally ended last month. And when it did, he had set a record. Most consecutive starts to begin a career in which he surrendered 5 or fewer hits per start. 22 games. Down the line and right, but drifting out of point. 22 games in a row, 5 or fewer hits. And that was 10 more games than the next best mark ever. They like this guy a lot. Only 24 years old. He'll turn 25 in July. But that rotation, when Latos comes back, is going to get a little crowded. And he does have options. Aaron Hill ahead 3-1. Singled his first time up. This is well hit. Left field and gone. Aaron Hill. Well, an 0 for last night is a distant memory. He's 2 for 2, and that's his 5th. The one that was wiped out in the rain out at Citi Field last week. He's got it back.
Aaron Hill says, I let y'all have your fun last night. Somebody had to make the outs, keep the innings moving. I'll take one for the team last night, but somebody else is going to have to make the outs tonight. Single and a home run in 2 at-bats already in the ballgame for Aaron Hill.
0 for 5 last night, 2 for 2. Cody Ross, who singled his first time, looks at strike one. I guess the 0 for 5 didn't sit well. Aaron looking to make up for lost time. Well, Aaron had that 4 for 4 game at Milwaukee earlier this month. That was back on May 5th. And since that game, he's hit under 190. So it's been slow going the last couple of weeks. So now this is welcome news for sure. Another 0-2 to Cody Ross. Another foul ball. Cody's got 12 hits in his last 16 games. Trying to find a rhythm. But this is a great matchup for him tonight. A left-hander that throws a lot of fastballs. Lays off that one. It's even 2-2.
Boy, this is a real oddity, a real rarity. Both left fielders in this game throw left-handed and bat right-handed. Ryan Ludwig for the Reds and Cody Ross for the Diamondbacks. That's odd. You don't see it very often. Ricky Henderson, a guy that jumps to mind immediately.
Popped up. Cozart wants it in shallow left.
Well, there have been many others, but to have two of them on the field at the same time playing the same position, that's odd.
Right fielder,
You wonder how guys get started that way. What happened way back in the youth? Gerardo Parra lined to short his first time, 0 for 1. I had a guy on the Twitter asked me to ask you a question about something like that. Actually, kind of brings it to mind. And we talked about this the other night. It's a little simple, but it's a good question for all fans out there. Why are there no left-handed catchers?
Well, there have been left-handed throwers who have been behind the plate in major league games before, but I think there's just too many things working against them. As a left-handed thrower, your throws to second base are going to tail to the shortstop side of the bag more often than not, away from the runner, and obviously you don't want that to happen. Throws to second base, at some point you're going to turn your back on that runner going between first and second.
0-2.
Sure, there's a lot of other reasons, but those are the ones that jump to mind immediately.
There are catchers who have hit left-handed, just none that have thrown left-handed.
Mike Squires, I believe when he was playing for the Chicago White Sox, went behind the plate, a left-handed thrower in an emergency one time. I believe there was one other. I don't recall the name, but it's happened rarely. You see a lot of bullpen catchers with left-handed mitts, guys that don't have to throw to the bases.
Well, the Pirates way back in the day had a guy named Dale Long, wasn't he? I think he was a left-hand catcher. 3-2 to Parra. 75 pitches now for Tony Cingrani. 49 for strikes.
Not to mention tag plays at the plate. Most of the throws are going to be coming either directly at you from left field, center, or right field, and you'd like that glove hand to be close to the base, close to the plate, close to the foul line, as opposed to a left-handed catcher who would catch the ball and have to drag that tag across his body to get it down in front of the plate.
It seems to be almost automatic. Oh, you throw lefty, well, we know you're never going to catch.
Outfield to first base. See you later.
Tuffy goes a wish. Walked his first time. Good at bat there by Gerardo Parra against the left-hander to work that walk. Second base on balls issued by Cingrani. Tough, he had the other one.
And they do make left-handed catcher's mitts. I mean, a lot of times you'll see a pitching coach who from time to time has to catch a side session or warm up a pitcher, or if you get two relievers up at the same time, sometimes the bullpen coach needs to jump up and warm up a pitcher, and if they're a left-handed thrower, they have a left-handed mitt.
There's Mark Reed, the D-backs bullpen catcher. Bullpen coach Mel Stoudemire Jr. Reeder getting some much-deserved TV time. Mesoraco is really keeping a close eye on Parra down there. Now Pena, who is the Reds' backup catcher, playing first base, goes over to have a chat and get some rosin. They love the job that he's done down there at first. And only played less than 9 innings in his minor league career at first base. And when Votto went down, they said, hey, we need you over there. And he's done a good job by all accounts. A walk to Parra. Now he's behind Gozowicz, 3-0. He has been laboring.
Runners at first and second back in the second inning. Kirk Gibson had the runners on the move on a 3-2 pitch to Tuffy Gosowicz. See if he starts Gerardo Parra over there at first with 1 out in the inning.
Good at bat here for Tuffy.
Parra was not running on that last pitch, and looked like Glenn Sherlock did not go through a series of signs down there in that third base coach's box, so I would assume he's not running on this pitch either.
Parra holds. Gozowicz lifts it in the air, shallow right center. Billy Hamilton calling for it. 2 down in the 4th. We had a very intricate set of signs when I was on a Little League team. It was one of those leagues, one of the older leagues you could steal. We had the third base coach had a clipboard. This is really complex. Try and stay with me. If the paper side was showing, you would steal. If it was the wood side, you would stay put.
Hey, I've heard some that are worse than that.
Very complex.
My boy Rocky Bridges, now, if he wanted you to steal, he would just yell across the diamond, hey, you, go. Yeah, his theory was there's no secrets in this game. It's all about execution. Everybody in the ballpark will know you're trying to steal second base, but if the pitcher doesn't unload quickly and the catcher doesn't make a good throw and the middle infielder doesn't catch it, it doesn't matter. So we're not fooling anybody. Go ahead and steal. You bunt.
Called strike 3. But the Diamondbacks add one more. They lead it 2-0 on Aaron Hill's 5th of the year. And the Diamondbacks through 4 have a 2-0 lead. Back with more after this.
Diamondbacks in Cold Stone Creamery.
Fan Express, presented by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores, is ready to take you to a D-backs game. Just stop by this month's participating Cox Solution store in Mesa, and you can enter to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus. You will get round-trip transport to the D-backs game on June 22nd. For more information, visit foxsportsarizona.com. 2-0 D-backs as we start the 5th. Josh Comenter has 3 strikeouts. He's given up just 2 hits. And he'll work to Jay Bruce to open up the 5th. And boy, Jay Bruce, this is a guy that has had a really difficult start to the year. Another one of those injured Reds. And the shift is on for the Diamondbacks against the left-hand hitting Bruce. He is under 200 on the year. The extra base hits just have not been there for him, but he's been hurt. He missed 14 games earlier this month because of arthroscopic surgery. Had to have a torn meniscus repaired in that left knee. And here you see 195. He is just 2 for 21 since he came back from the injury. And he will strike out a lot.
He'll also hit his share of homers back-to-back 30 homer seasons. Last 3 years, just missed 100 RBIs the first 2 of those, drove in 109 last year.
1-2. He has always been a very high strikeout guy, Jay Bruce, but last year more so than ever. He struck out 185 times. He does that thing where it looks like he's calling timeout.
I think a lot of people would be surprised by this. In the National League since the beginning of the 2011 season, only Giancarlo Stanton has hit more homers than Jay Bruce. He's first in RBIs, first in extra base hits, second in intentional walks.
2-2. Right to Steve Smith at third. Well, yeah, 3 straight seasons with at least 30 homers and 90 RBIs. Well, he came back from that knee really quickly. They thought he was going to be out a month. And he only missed 14 games, just came back last Friday. And as soon as he came back, Joey Votto went on the DL. That's the kind of year it's been for the Reds. And there is the strikeout. That's 4 for Comenter, 1 down in the 5th.
Fastball up and out over the plate. Tuffy wanted it down, but at 89 miles an hour, pretty much right in the middle of the zone. On that outside corner, gets a swing and a miss from a pretty good power hitter.
And here's another one, a developing power hitter, the catcher Devin Mesoraco, who flat out his first time. And he's had some injuries this season. Missed 16 games earlier this month. He strained his left hamstring running the bases, just came back on May 16th. He opened up the season on the DL with an oblique injury, missed the first 7 games. So he fits right into this MASH unit they have here. But having a breakthrough offensive season nonetheless. At the age of 25, he'll turn 26 next month.
Mesoraco does something that a lot of hitting coaches try to discourage. Watch how much his head moves as Josh Comenter delivers the ball as he goes into that exaggerated crouch. Starts out standing fairly straight up, but the deeper Josh gets into his delivery, the deeper and deeper the crouch gets for Mesoraco, and his eyes and head move right along with the rest of his body.
Is that why you don't want to do that?
Yeah, you want to. Normally, you try to keep your head as still as possible so you get the best look at the ball. It's not moving unnecessarily, and it's like Mesoraco creates some deception there with the way he goes into that crouch.
Got jammed that time and rolled it right to Hill, 2 down.
But you can't argue with the numbers in the early going this season. The average at 360 coming into play tonight. He's hitting for power, not striking out a whole lot.
Left fielder.
Until it breaks, don't fix it.
And if that guy is sitting on Johnny Bench's bench. Remember those old spray paint commercials?
Oh, yeah, Krylon.
Johnny Bench and the baseball bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the commercials with the Some poor guy would sit down and there's paint all over. Well, not on Johnny Bench's bench, because I use Krylon. This is there with a breaking ball to Ryan Ludwig, 1-0. 50 pitches now for Josh Comenter, 35 for strikes. That's exactly the kind of pitch that makes him so frustrating, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Just a little higher than you can handle it. The velocity certainly not overpowering, but his ability to locate, especially across the top of the strike zone, just a little bit higher than a hitter can get to.
He has been tremendously efficient so far. 1-1.
One of the things I learned in my days with the Toronto Blue Jays, even though I didn't play very often, I listened, I paid attention in the advanced meetings, and one of the terms they like to use, if a guy's a high fastball hitter, throw it higher than high. If he's a low fastball hitter, throw it lower than low. I mean, if a guy's a good high fastball hitter, he's looking for pitches up there. Ryan Ludwig is a good high fastball hitter, just scooted up a little bit higher than he can handle.
Now, when Comenter was in relief, he would often work up in the zone. Not something a lot of pitchers can get away with. And as a starter, we always hear you got to keep the ball down. Well, can he still work up that much as a starter, as much as he did when he was coming out of the bullpen?
I think he needs to do both. I think he needs to show that he can command that top half of the strike zone the way he's always been able to do out of the bullpen. But at the same time, if the situation calls for a ground ball, have the ability to pound it down there at the bottom of the kneecaps.
High in the air along the left field line, Cody Ross has room, and Cody's got it. A 1-2-3 fifth for Josh Comenter, who is rolling along with a 2-0 lead. CenturyLink Girling to what's next. The red-hot leadoff man. It's A.J. Pollock. Tony Cingrani out there for the home half of the fifth, and he'll work to A.J. Pollock, the leadoff man, who leads off the inning for the D-backs. So far, A.J. a double and a ground down, 1 for 2. A.J. 3 for 5 last night in the 12-6 win over the Padres, including 2 doubles. And he had 2 hits in that 8-run first when the D-backs sent 12 to the plate. Frazier at third. Tough play on a short hop, but he throws him out. 1 away. They really like his defense down there. He came up as a shortstop, Frazier, and has settled in nicely at third.
Shortstop, Chris Owings.
Here's the D-back shortstop, Chris Owings, a double his last time up. Coming off his first career 4-hit game last night. I wonder what happened to that couple that we showed last night. But the gal was ready to leave the guy for Chris Owings.
Yeah, the sign said, "I'll dump this stiff for Chris Owings." He sat by her all 9 innings last night. That was quite a show.
I haven't seen them here, so perhaps there was an incident after the game. Bounced in a hole. Frazier again.
Talk about Frazier's defense down there at third base. He has made 7 errors, but very agile, very quick on his feet. He's played every defensive position on the field other than center field and catcher at some point in his career. And I think just settling into one position, knowing he's going to be the starting third baseman on a daily basis, really has to help.
He's got kind of that baseball gym rat vibe about him. Of course, you go back to the Little League team, Toms River, New Jersey. When they won the Little League World Series with Frazier, went 4 for 4 for Toms River. Strike 1 to Goldie. Paul Goldschmidt 0 for 2. He has struck out and grounded out. High in the air, right center. Playable for Hamilton. Still drifting near the pool, and he's got it. Cingrani works a 1-2-3 fifth. D-backs lead the Reds 2-0.
Hit off the scoreboard way that high up. We just all started laughing, and Chris Denorfia was playing left field right in front of us, and he turned around and just said, "Wow."
It's amazing because when you watch him take batting practice, it's not very impressive, but when he gets into the game, he's got tons of pop.
Well, there was definitely a lot of chatter in the clubhouse, not only last night after the game, but again today about Paul Goldschmidt's 470-foot home run here to center that hit the video board. And actually, Eric Chavez said, "Look, I think it went further than 470. I said, "Well, we can appeal it, Eric. I don't know." But the guys were obviously very impressed, and even Joe Thatcher mentioning that the Padres players said, "Wow," as well.
Thank you, Jody. That was one you didn't want to miss. Brian Pena leads off the 6th. He doubled his first time. And he's got another base hit. Rolls it into center. That's 420 away from home. Goldie's, when you look at that at 420 and then you hear 470, that looks about right. Zach Cozart, the shortstop. Flying out to center his first time. Cozart's a guy with a little bit of pop in his bat as well. He can hit up there. And for 2 years, he's been a guy that'll give you 30-plus doubles. He'll hit 12, 15 homers. He'll slug close to 400. Last year, 254, 12 home runs in 151 games. It's on a play, 1-1.
I heard Eric Chavez talking about Goldie's batting practice not being that impressive. One guy that did put on a show in batting practice here at Chase Field one day, back then it was called Bank One Ballpark. You see the World Championship logo high above the seats out there in left center. Then it says World Champions up there on the panel. And that opening up there, the panel's open. Mark McGwire hit a ball out the panel above the World Champions during batting practice.
Double play ball, Prado, Hill, Goldie, heroic. Second double play ball behind Colementor tonight.
Well, you love that ground ball to your left as a third baseman. Leads you into what should be an accurate throw to that second baseman. Aaron Hill with a nice quick turn to complete the double play.
So he hit it out. Well, that's out on the street.
Out on the street. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Those of us who were here in the ballpark that day just marveled at it. It just seems physically impossible to hit a baseball that far.
470, that was the distance on the Goldie shot last night. Cingrani up there with 2 outs.
That's one of the great things about baseball, though. Somebody who maybe was watching that game on TV last night will someday get a chance to come here live to Chase Field and look up at that scoreboard and go, no way he hit a ball up there.
Slaps it to the third base side of the mound, and look at the athleticism from Josh Colementor. A terrific play. Right through there. D-backs lead it 2-0.
'16 interactive kiosk right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game.
Wow, the amazing thing about that was without a script. That was, you just ad-libbed the whole thing.
You know, I just, as a creature of habit, I read them every night. I should know them. I should recite them in my sleep by now.
D-backs Nation leading 2-0. They're out there at the Coors Light strike zone in right center field, high above the pool. Great spot out here, brand new this year at Chase Field. Martin Prado leads off the 6th, so far 0 for 2.
That's where they have those aluminum bottles, silver bullets that you're so fond of.
I mentioned that last night on our Diamond Talk radio program.
I heard you.
I'm glad we can entertain you on the drive home. On there, we'll do it again tonight. Greg Schulte and Jeff Munn, 98.7 FM. Diamond Talk after every home game. And we had Martin Prado on the show last night. I'm glad you mentioned that. And asked him what's changed lately in terms of his approach. And he said what's changed is not having an approach. And he is very much, he says right now, in a see ball, hit ball mode. Not worried about, going the other way like we always talk about, or trying to get some of that power back to his pole field. He is just up there swinging.
See it and hit it.
And that's really where he kind of got back on track last year. And he, we talked about that a bunch. Didn't worry about it. Just get up there and hack. Well, that helmet's a mess. We got to clean that up. Look at that. Prado, left field, Ludwig. He won't get there. It's off the wall. Martin heads for second. A stand-up double for Prado. His 9th, leads off the 6th. The bat is coming around.
Yeah, leave the helmet just the way it is. Fine drive to that gap in left center field I mentioned early on in the ball game on the A.J. Pollock double to left center. Ryan Ludwig just not moving well out there in left field. Didn't get much of a jump on that ball and couldn't accelerate quickly enough to get to the spot. Has to play it on a bounce off the wall out there in left center field. Away Martin.
Diamondbacks now have 6 hits. That includes 3 doubles and a homer. And here's the man who had the home run his last time up, Aaron Hill, 2 for 2. Center field, base hit. They will wave Prado. No throw from Hamilton. It's 3-0 D-backs. Well, from 0 for 5 to 3 for 3.
Hill's going to let somebody else make the outs tonight. Clean single first at bat, home run to left field in the 4th inning, and now an RBI single to center. Glenn Sherlock windmilling Martin Prado the whole way. I think the Diamondbacks are going to try to run on Billy Hamilton out there in center field. He was an infielder by trade before they converted him to a center fielder.
Tony Cingrani's night ends here. 3-0 D-backs. Back after this.
And the only thing I'm doing different right now is just being aggressive. I'm picking my spot, that's what I say. Swing and everything, just same thing. And confidence. When you don't have confidence, you don't swing, like, you don't pick your spot. But when you're confident, you're good enough to understand that there's gonna be some situation where you can be aggressive.
Martin Prado earlier today, he led off this inning with a double, and he talked about being aggressive, but confidence is part of it, because early in the season he said it wasn't that he wasn't being aggressive, he just didn't have the confidence, guys.
No.
Thank you, Jody. That's out of play.
It's the old chicken and the egg, baseball's version. What comes first, a couple of line drives or the confidence that you can hit line drives? I think you need to hit one or two to get that feeling back, get that rhythm and timing back in the box, and then they seem to come with regularity.
J.J. Hoover, the right-hander, is on for the Reds. He has not given up a run in any of his last 6 appearances. 0-1 to Cody Ross. Even for an established hitter, an all-star like Martin Prado, you can't just crank that up?
It certainly didn't work for me. I mean, there were a lot of games I felt real confident that I was going to make something happen offensively and went home dragging an 0 for 5. But, you know, you hit a line drive or two and it just kind of all comes back to you again, especially for a veteran hitter like Martin.
Hello. Kids get in free. Every kid in the ballpark tonight got in free courtesy of the D-backs with the purchase of an adult ticket. And thanks to all of the families all over Arizona that took advantage of the offer. Pops him up, first base sign. Pena straddling the line. And that's the first out here in the 6th.
Right fielder,
Tony Cingrani. His rotation spot looks a little shaky right now with Matt Latos. The due back soon. Latos on the DL right now following knee surgery and a forearm strain. He had elbow surgery last October. Talk about a rough offseason. And Latos has not pitched yet in the game this year. Just had one AAA rehab start. And has another scheduled for tomorrow at Columbus. So when he comes back, which will be soon, the Reds will have a decision to make in terms of their 5 rotation spots. And if this score holds, Cingrani will be 0-3 in 3 starts since coming back from the DL. 1-0 to Parra.
Hoover's basically a 2-pitch guy. That 4-seam fastball up in the zone there at 93. Also throws a overhand curveball, occasional slider to a right-handed hitter, but basically a fastball curveball combination.
1 ball and 1 strike to Gerardo Parra. Aaron Hill, the runner at first. Another run in here in the 6th. Over the head of Dave McKay at first. Don't forget, fans, Sunday it's a Baxter hat night. And there's our model, Dennis Lamb. You'll get the first 5,000 kids get the Baxter hat. That hat was actually personally designed by Ralph.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ralph, of course, the president emeritus of the D-backs Baxter fan club. Nice work by Ralph. And that's a Sunday, June 1st. First 5,000 kids coming into Chase Field get the Baxter hat. So it's a big weekend. You got the Mark Trumbo t-shirt Saturday and the Baxter hat on Sunday. I really like the work that Ralph did there with that baby. You have to, with the ears and everything coming out of that. And Dennis can really pull it off too.
You mix in the Greg Schulte cargo shorts and you'd have a whole wardrobe.
Just don't wear them on the bus. 1-2. He strikes out Parra, 2 down. That'll bring up Tuffy Gozowich.
Catcher, Tuffy Gozowich.
Tuffy 0 for 1. He has walked and flied out. Tuffy getting the start behind the plate tonight, his 8th start this year. I think that's at all a consideration. You know, Tuffy is probably your best catch and throw guy, and you've got Billy Hamilton likely for 4 games in this series.
I'm sure that entered into the decision to have Tuffy start this ball game tonight.
I know you had a left-hander in there in Cingrani, so Miggy might sit anyway, but next 3 games it might be interesting to see. Got some possibilities there.
The Diamondbacks pitching staff has taken care of Billy Hamilton's stolen bases in this game. Struck him out in the first. He did single in the 4th, but was quickly erased on a double play. It's tough to steal from the dugout bench.
That's the best way to do it. 0-2. Well, Tuffy has swung a pretty good bat lately, hitting just under 370 over his last 6 games. 5 of those have been starts. One and 2. Good night to be out at the RamTrucks.com pool area. Fun times. What do we got going on out there tonight? Oh, it's pretty mellow out there. Great night to be out there when the roof is open, the panels. It's like you're out in the backyard. If he hits that high and deep, a drifting foul. On a play for Bruce in right.
Maybe not quite as vitally important with a 3-0 lead in the ball game, but should Tuffy be able to reach here? We talk all the time about clearing that pitcher spot. You'd like to think Josh Coleman is going to go back out there for his next inning of work and do what he's done throughout the early part of this ball game. But should he get in trouble, you'd like to clear his spot so you don't have to worry about making a double switch to bring a relief pitcher into the game who might lead off if Tuffy makes the last out here.
Well, so far, Josh Colementor has faced the minimum through 6. With the help of a couple of double play balls behind him, he's given up only 2 singles. He's got 4 strikeouts. Bullpen is quiet for the D-backs. 2-2 to Tuffy Gozowicz. It's full. Tuffy has had 3 ball counts in all 3 of his at-bats tonight.
Trying to figure out why Todd Frazier's guarding the third baseline as closely as he is down there. I mean, that's something you do late in a ball game to try to avoid extra base hits. And Tuffy's certainly not what I would call a dead pull hitter.
It's it high to center. Hamilton in front of the warning track. Diamondbacks add 1 more. Aaron Hill, who homered in the 4th, gets an RBI single in the 6th. And the D-backs lead the Reds 3-0. Hey fans, Saturday, a full day of MLB action, beginning with the Braves taking on the Marlins on Fox Sports 1, and then Baseball Night in America on Fox as the Rays battle the Red Sox, or the Pirates take on the Dodgers. Our MLB doubleheader starts Saturday, 12:30 Pacific on Fox Sports 1, and continues at 4 on Fox. Seventh inning at Chase Field, and Josh Collmenter is working on a dandy here. He has faced the minimum. But through 6, he's given up only 3 hits, 2 singles. He's got 2 double play balls behind him. Defensively, the Diamondbacks have made 1 change. Ender Inciarte takes over in left for Cody Ross.
We've seen Josh Collmenter good a lot this year, but I don't think we've seen his command as good as it's been tonight. Boy, he's just thrown the ball right where he wants to with almost every delivery.
He'll work to Billy Hamilton. So far, Hamilton, the Reds speed merchant, a strikeout and a single. And once again, we'll check the defensive alignment with the, well, there's corners in, and then there's that. These guys are coming way in on Hamilton.
This is called taking the bunt away. If you play so shallow that it's a low percentage proposition to try to bunt for a base hit, he's almost forced to swing away.
It looks like a box and one in basketball. He strikes out Hamilton for the 2nd time tonight. That's 5 for Collmenter. Boy, Bob, what a difference that Josh Collmenter and Bronson Arroyo have made in this Diamondback rotation lately since April 25th, just settling things down.
Yeah, team record over that time, 15 and 15. You can see the Collmenter Arroyo duo has done a nice job. Team record 9 and 3 in those games. Got to get the rest of the guys in the rotation to get on the bus. Bronson Arroyo started the year abbreviated spring training. Arm strength wasn't there. Went through a virus that sapped his strength for a couple of starts. And of course, Josh Collmenter started the season in the bullpen. They've been 2 indispensable members of this rotation.
We'll take a look at Bronson Arroyo tomorrow against Mike Leake. Diamondback Live pregame show starts at 6 on Fox Sports Arizona. Arroyo and Leake. Saturday, it's Brandon McCarthy and Johnny Cueto. And then Sunday, Wade Miley and Alfredo Simon.
You see Chase Anderson always snuggled up close to Bronson Arroyo. Same thing could be said for the guy Bronson is going to pitch against tomorrow. Mike Leake was a young pitcher that really picked the brain of Bronson Arroyo when they were teammates together in Cincinnati. Chase Anderson following suit.
Bronson mentioned that actually earlier this week when we shot our cup of coffee episode at Chloe's Corner. Wow, Aaron Hill smothers that one and throws him out. I think Josh Collmenter lost a whisker or 2 on that one.
He's got plenty more to spare. That's going to be our Chaz Roberts cool play of the game. A screaming line drive past Collmenter, and once again Aaron Hill shading up the middle of the field just a little bit based on the defensive spray charts, right in the right spot.
Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. Brandon Phillips. He is 0 for 2. Reds with just 3 hits against Josh Collmenter. He has struck out 5. That dude BP now at 272 on the year. He's got 4 homers. Soft fly to left field. Easy play for Inciarte. And Josh Collmenter has faced the minimum through 7 with 5 hits allowed. Phantom cam on Aaron Hill. Joe Borowski joins us when we come back. It's 3-0 D-backs.
on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz.
Roof and panels are open on a beautiful night at Chase Field in downtown Phoenix. D-backs lead the Reds 3-0, and here for the home half of the 7th inning. Back with us is Joe Borowski. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, guys. Hey, I don't know. I don't want to ruin stuff. You get that 8-run inning yesterday, and I don't want to screw things up tonight.
Yeah, Webby. Well, I mean, Webby was always good when he staked into an 8-0 lead. I mean, it's hard to screw that up.
Yeah, most pitchers are.
How about this man tonight on the mound, Josh Coleman? To the minimum, Joe, through 7. He's given up 3 hits, but he had a guy thrown out at third and then 2 double plays behind it.
The one thing that sticks out the most is we saw how he struggled at times this year with his location of his fastball. And that's the type of pitcher he is. He doesn't blow anybody away. He has to locate his fastball. He's done a great job of pitching in and out today, and it's set up his changeup great. And he's been efficient. 72 pitches through 7 innings. That means your defense is on their toes, ready to make plays, and that's why he's gotten plays made behind him tonight.
Joel will be on Diamondbacks Live after the ball game. Yeah, the deepest Josh has gone into a ball game as a starter this year is 7. He's done that tonight. He'd only done it one other time this year. That was a no decision against the Rockies at Chase Field 5 starts ago. Will Hamilton will track that down. One away. And when he went 7, he threw exactly 100 pitches. The only time all year his pitch count has hit triple digits, and he's well under that tonight.
And Joey, we were talking about his last start against the Mets, knowing there was a doubleheader the next day. He threw close to 30 pitches in his first inning of work. You knew you were going to need some bullpen for that doubleheader, but got his legs underneath him, settled in, and got deep into the ball game that day. That was a big outing for Josh this year.
And that's something, it can go either way for a starting pitcher, is you run into that first inning trouble.
A.J. Pollock off the wall. That's a fair ball, and A.J. will head for third. His 4th triple. You may never get him out of this leadoff spot. Wow.
Why would you?
Joe, what do you make of this?
He's locked in right now. He's seeing the ball so well. It's coming in like a beach ball. And he's doing a great job of not trying to overdo stuff. That ball's pitched out and away, and he goes with it to right field. And that's where he's got his success right now. A lot of times you see hitters, especially when they're struggling a little bit, they try to do more than they can. They try to pull that pitch. They roll it over. But he's just locked in right now.
Well, that was a great example of hitting the ball where it was pitched, up and out over the plate, drive that ball to right field.
He had 2 doubles last night. He's got a double and a triple tonight. Chris Owings.
And you love to just see him run around the bases. He's faster after he gets going. He doesn't have that initial speed out of the box, but as soon as he starts going, it's fun to watch.
Well, we've got another member of the Chris Owings fan club in the house. Another proposal. Well, the one last night brought a date with her, so that was a little awkward. Awkward.
But she was more than willing to dump the dude for Chris Owings.
Made that clear. Had an arrow pointing to him and everything. That young lady is the next in line. The CO fan club. And a lot of members the way this young man has played so far this year. High in the air, short right. Bruce is in. Pollock at third. A.J. bluffs and holds.
Just not deep enough. In the National League, going back to the beginning of the 2011 season, only Gerardo Parra has more outfield assists than Jay Bruce.
And speaking of signs, Paul Goldschmidt, my future husband. And look at the guy next to her. I don't approve. How could you not approve of that? I'll tell you who doesn't approve. It's Amy Goldschmidt.
Nip it in the bud.
Yep. They're going to walk Goldie and work to Prado. I guess they saw the highlights last night.
Yeah, I don't know if that ball's landed yet.
Were you? Oh, you weren't here yesterday. That almost hit your set out there.
Yeah. The funny thing is that I also in person saw the Richie Sexson home run.
You did. You were here.
I was with the Cubs, sitting in the bullpen, and I really couldn't believe it. He hit it up on that. Oof! It was remarkable.
This was Goldie last night. 4-7-0 on the distance. On Phantom Cam, he barrels it up.
It's so nice to just watch a swing. It's just so smooth through the zone.
Conference time at the mound with Mesoraco and Hoover. With A.J. Pollock at third, Paul Goldschmidt at first, 2 down, and Martin Prado stepping in. Prado doubled and scored his last time, up 1 for 3. Martin Prado has homered in his last 2 ball games. He has never homered in 3 consecutive games. Right field. It's in there. Pollock scores. Goldie heads for third. 4-0 D-backs.
Joey, you've been in dugouts before when they intentionally walk the guy ahead of you, and somebody will always yell, "Don't let him do it to you." Well, Martin Prado didn't allow the Reds to do it to him. Picked on a belt-high fastball, smoked it into right field for an RBI hit.
A look on Phantom Cam from Fox. He's really starting to come around now, Martin Prado.
And what a jolt for this offense it would be if he could sustain that.
He have really missed his extra base hits.
Sure.
Aaron Hill 3 for 3. 2 singles and a home run. He led off the 4th with a homer, his 5th of the year. And there's the sign in the background. That guy still hasn't bought a beer. Well, we saw that in the first inning, I think it was.
Yeah, we excused him in the first inning because the game just started. But come on, pal.
In the air to the right. Jay Bruce, easy play. Joe, thanks. We'll see you after the ball game.
Looking forward to it, guys.
Through 7, Diamondbacks lead the Reds 4-zip. And with the D-backs value pack, that includes a bleacher ticket, a hot dog or a Subway sandwich, a regular Pepsi, and a free cookie, all for only $21. And the D-backs value pack is available for every game, every day. For more info, visit dbacks.com/value. Our APS Energy All-Star, this is a no-brainer tonight. Josh Colmenter, so far he has faced the minimum through 7. He's given up 3 hits, a double and 2 singles, but he's had a guy thrown out at third, 2 double play balls behind him, no walks and 5 strikeouts.
Very efficient with his pitches, just over 10 per inning.
And this is the deepest Josh Colmenter has ever gone into a ball game this season as a starter. And look at that pitch count, 73. Goldie along the line, Colmenter covers. 1 away. Well, last time he went 7. That was against the Rockies at Chase Field 5 starts ago. It took 100 pitches. But so far tonight, 74, 53 for strikes.
3 single-digit pitch count innings. On his way to a 4th here in the 8th if he can quickly retire Mesoraco and Ludwig.
Mesoraco 0 for 2. Another thing Josh Colmenter has really done well tonight is keep it in the yard. .53 innings pitched this year, 50 hits allowed, 9 have been home runs. Easy play for Parra in right. Well, it's that time. The Brenly Committee has convened. It's time to look at our AT&T fan photo of the game. Using the hashtag AZFanPhoto, Roxana with Gerardo Parra. Now that's a quality picture.
That's
right
a
there.
really nice picture, Roxana. Way to go.
I can see why that one was, what do they call it when you fast lane, you streamline, you fast track.
Fast track.
Yeah, you fast track that to the top.
Oh, yeah. If you can get an actual player in your photo, that obviously is going to move you to the top of the pile.
Roxana, that's big league. Nice work. And our thanks to our friends at AT&T. First pitch swinging, Ryan Ludwig. Right center, who wants it? It'll be Pollock. And Josh Colmenter, the minimum through 8. Ender Inciarte will lead off the 8th. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Inciarte, Parra, Tuffy. It's 4-0 D-backs. Ball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Cox Communications. Bundle and save with Cox. Great night to be at the ballpark. Diamondbacks lead the Reds 4-0 as we are set for the home half of the 8th. And the new pitcher for Cincinnati is the left-hander Sean Marshall. This is another one of the walking wounded. He began the year on the DL with a sore left shoulder. And he'll work to Ender Inciarte, who came on to play left field for Cody Ross in the 7th. Inciarte, Parra, and Gozowicz, 6, 7, and 8. Inciarte shows bunt. There's a strike.
Well, that's the signature pitch for Sean Marshall. Big sweeping breaking ball that he'll start right at the front shoulder of those left-handed hitters and sweep it all the way across the plate.
Inciarte drives it to right. He's got himself a base hit. As we went to break to end that last half inning, Chris Owings, I want you to watch the reaction of the young lady that gets the ball. Look at the look on her face. Hold on now. Watch this. And then what do you always say, BB? Give it to a kid.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's beautiful.
Cannot sit still.
That's great.
Gerardo Parra. And once again, thanks to all you fans who took advantage of the D-backs offer this week. Kids get in free. Free tickets for kids. Every kid 12 and under for the last 4 days has gotten in here absolutely free with the purchase of an adult ticket. And that young lady with her free ticket has had a night she'll never forget.
Well, the way she reacted to that foul ball, kind of how we act when they bring cactus corn up here to the booth.
The headsets just fall right on the floor.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
You got it, kid. Sanderson Ford bullpen crickets out there. The way Josh Colmenter is rolling, the minimum through 8. 3 hits allowed. He's got 5 strikeouts.
Based on pitch count alone, he's in great shape. No question about it. I think should he continue to pitch as effectively as he has, Gibby's going to give him every opportunity to finish this with only 1 complete game this season by a Diamondback starter, and that was by tomorrow's starter, Bronson Arroyo.
Ryan Pena hit a double to lead off the 3rd. He was thrown out tagging up by A.J. Pollock, who just threw a missile from center. Then Hamilton had a single in the 4th. He was erased by a double play ball. Pena a single in the 6th. He was erased by a double play ball. 0-2 to Gerardo Parra. Fans, for the thrill of the game, baseball's finally here. It's happening all around us, so go grab a Pepsi and some friends and get out, join us at a D-backs game and live it. It's time to live for now. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Arizona Diamondbacks. We back the D-backs.
Mesoraco with another impressive play back there behind home plate. He had some defensive issues last year that he was working his way through, but has really blossomed into a solid defensive catcher back there for the Reds.
He's had a terrific year offensively as well, Devin Mesoraco. The Reds' first-round pick in 2007. He was the 15th player selected overall that year, and just the 3rd catcher ever taken by the Reds with their top draft pick. 1-2. Dan Lamar in 1979 and Dan Wilson in 1990. The only other 2 catchers ever taken by the Reds with their first pick.
Yeah, Dan Wilson ended up having himself a real nice career as a solid catch, throw, and call a game guy.
A ball and 2 strikes to Gerardo Parra. 2-2. Parra's got a little 4-game hit streak on the line here. He's hit safely in 7 of his last 8. But once again in there against a lefty. Now 7 for 50 against left-handers this year. Inciarte takes off. That's fouled away. Hey fans, MLB.TV Premium is the #1 live streaming sports service, and it's celebrating 12 years. You can join the millions of subscribers who watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit dbacks.com for details. Josh Coleman in the hole. Helmet in place, bat in hand, ready to go. Cracking them up in the dugout. Inciarte holding this time, and Parra strikes out. One away. Here's Tuffy Gozawish. Tuffy walked in the second. He has twice flying out to center, 0 for 2. Scared of Baxter? Why would you be scared of Baxter? He's the most fan-friendly mascot in baseball. That seems a little irrational. A 1-0 misses, 2 balls and no strikes. Long look down to Glenn Sherlock at third.
The possibility of a hit and run here. Got good speed on at first base. Tuffy handles the bat pretty well. Has a favorable count here. Sean Marshall almost forced to throw a strike on this 2-0 pitch.
Inciarte holding all the way. That one misses again, and it's 3-0. Tuffy Gozawish, last year a 30-year-old rookie. Wound up playing 14 games for the D-backs, made 11 starts. After all those years in the minor leagues. Three-0 is in there for a strike. And as the starting catcher last year, Tuffy hit .211. But pitchers always feel great when he's back there. The defense, the way he calls the game, the way he's willing to get dirty back there. 3-1. Inciarte off with a pitch, and Tuffy lines it to left, but right at Ryan Ludwig. And Inciarte will hustle back to the bag. Fans, FoxSportsArizona.com, all your online local sports coverage you can't find anywhere else. There's a Nick Evans. Jack McGruder writes that Goldie might be baseball's most anonymous superstar. Read about Tyler Lockman and his post-game analysis and reaction, and getting called up by the hometown team, a dream for Nick Evans. Local boy makes good. Here's Josh Coleman. Nick Evans, of course, from St. Mary's High School in Phoenix, born in Glendale.
But the only downside I can think of playing for your hometown team the way Nick Evans is the ticket list. Everybody from his St. Mary's graduating class has probably called him looking for tickets.
Colemanter, center field, Hamilton. And that sends us to the ninth. Josh Colemanter will get back out there, and he has faced the minimum through 8. It's 4-0 D-backs. Had the 0 for last night with the offensive showdown, the 0 for 5, but boy, he made up for it tonight. 3 hits, including his 5th homer. And a look at our Gila River game summary. 10 hits for the D-backs. They lead it 4-0. And here we are in the 9th, and Josh Colemanter is working on some history. For Josh, if he can get through this 9th unscathed, it would be his first career complete game and his first career shutout. And how about this? He has faced the minimum through 8. Since 1914, only 12 times has a pitcher thrown a 9-inning complete game, facing just 27 batters while giving up at least 3 hits. The last guy to do it, Roy Oswalt in 2008. Some of the other names that have done this is a list. Mike Flanagan, the Candyman, John Candelaria, Smokey Joe Wood, and the Big Train, Walter Johnson. Josh Colemanter and Walter Johnson.
There you go.
So Josh out there trying to close it out in the 9th. Brian Pena has 2 hits, though. He has 2 of Cincinnati's 3 hits. A double in the 3rd, a single in the 6th. There's the strike. Colemanter has set down 8 in a row. Sanderson Ford bullpen, the closer. Addison Reed is in no hurry out there. Colemanter at 80 pitches, 57 for strikes.
Now, the previous career high for Josh Colemanter, 8 innings, coming back in July 18th of 2011 against the Brewers right here at Chase Field. Went 8 innings in that game, gave up only 3 hits, faced 26 batters in his 8 innings of work in that game.
Bidding for his first career shutout. The 0-2.
Boy, it is hard to think of more than a couple of pitches in this game that he did not throw exactly where he wanted to. Came inside that time, made Pena move his feet, just pushed him off the plate with a pitch mid-thigh off the inside corner.
Aaron Hill at second. Got him.
Shortstop, Zach Cozart.
Doing it all tonight, Aaron Hill. Sit by and watch last night as his teammates feasted offensively. He's done it all, both with the glove and the bat tonight.
Zach Cozart, the shortstop. Pitcher's spot is due up next, and Skip Schumacher, the veteran, is in the on-deck circle. Cozart, his last time up, hit into one of the 2 double plays that the D-backs have turned behind Colementor. That erased a Pena single to lead off the 6th. Two and two.
All night long, just a little bit higher than the Reds hitters could handle it. Another elevated fastball up and out over the plate. Looks very tempting to a hitter, but you've got to be extremely quick to get on top of that fastball.
Another very entertaining game. Come on out this weekend to join us. You never know what you're going to see at Chase Field. Along the right field line, long run for Parra, but that's drifting into the seats and out of play. 3 more against the Reds. Tomorrow, Bronson Arroyo's on the mound, facing his former team. Little number to second, Aaron Hill one more time. 10 in a row set down by Colementor. How about that?
Pinch hitting for Sean Marshall, number 25, Skip Schumacher.
Skip Schumacher, last man standing. Josh Colementor bidding for his first career complete game and his first career shutout. Strike one.
Notice those guys in the D-backs bullpen applauding right along with the crowd here at Chase Field tonight. Rare is the night this season that you just get your closer up to play a little catch just in case. More often than not, especially in that first month of the season, it was a fire drill down there every night.
Should put a turnstile down there. Not tonight. This man has taken care of business and now tries to close it out with 2 outs in the 9th. A double by Pena to lead off the 3rd. A single by Hamilton to lead off the 4th. A single by Pena to lead off the 6th. The only base runners for the Reds tonight. Left field, Ender Inciarte. Can't quite get there.
It made it a lot closer than it looked like it was going to be initially. Had to slide to that sidewall there to protect himself. Josh Colementor appreciates the effort, just not quite enough room.
Right back to the mound. And Josh Colementor has shut out Cincinnati. He faces the minimum 27 batters. Just the 13th time that's happened in the major league since 1914. 27, 3 hits allowed. He goes all the way.
That's as fine a pitch game as we have seen by anybody this year. With tremendous command from the very first pitch of the game until the last pitch of the game, was efficient all night long. Tremendous job by Josh Colemanter. Seems appropriate. He gets that little tap backer to the mound there. Little toss on to Paul Goldschmidt. Bullpen loving that. Take a night off.
Josh Colemanter retired the final 11 he faced. A complete game. He faces the minimum, gives up only 3 hits. Just the 13th time that's happened in Major League history since 1914. He joins a list that includes Roy Oswalt, John Candelaria, Mike Flanagan, Smokey Joe Wood, and Walter Johnson. And for the second time this season, the Diamondbacks have shut out their opponent. They win it here 4-0. Let's go out to Todd and Joe, guys.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Our coverage continues here. Diamondbacks Live, presented by Central Link, is just around the corner. Joe Borowski, you look at this game, they had timely hitting, spectacular defense, but Josh Colemanter is the story. But where do you focus? You have to start with Josh, don't you?
Well, Todd, you said there's so many things to focus on, and how rarely do you have so much to go on? We got a smorgasbord of stuff to go on, so we're going to look at everything from Colemanter, defense, Hill, Prado, everything. We're just going to throw everything out there.
And I am in contact with the folks at Cascarelli's Pizza in Homer, Michigan. You're not going to believe what I have to tell you about that joint.
My mouth's watering already.
Well, they weren't watching. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, complete post-game reaction. We'll hear from Josh Colemanter on Fox Sports Arizona coming up in a second.